Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Rwagnation League Grand Prix here in Italy. I'm Ben McConnell, and joining me on the commentator's desk is, as always, for the F2 races, my boy himself, Safso. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm alright, Well, I mean, it's Temple of Speed. How can you not be happy to see cars going absolutely all in on this track? You know, coming in towards turn one, it's going to be really heavy braking zone. You got a lot of people, you know, it's quite often, especially in open lobbies. Obviously, this is not, but this is a for fun league. So we are expecting there to be a little bit of contact coming into it. But before we do, I need to hear, I'm just checking, yes, he is here. Who is your 1, 2, 3? Go.
Boris Gang, Beaker, and Hayden.
Ooh, Hayden.
Yeah, I'm backing my boy.
Okay. You know what? I don't want to back him for the qualifying because it's not something he's naturally been very good at. He'll say this himself. But when it comes to the race, that's something he has been really good at. But it's mainly been the sprint races where he's pulled it together. He is back, though, properly. He, as you can see, his pedals, well, his seat, should I say, has been fixed. He did break it last week, and that was what caused him to have to not participate in last week's. He was pretty gutted. He repeatedly told me how much he was looking forward to doing it, and now he's here. So he's back. Currently sat down there in P10, but again, it's the race that matters. 4 points are going to be awarded for the person who gets it on pole, which currently is looking to be Bottas Gang. And for those of you who don't watch these week on week, and you will not know this, but Bottas Gang is the only person to get a perfect weekend. Now, what we mean by that is we're talking pole position in the qualifying, where you are awarded 4 points. Also, a race win and the fastest lap. So obviously in race win in feature races give you the 25 points, and the fastest lap gives you an additional 2. And then in the sprint race, winning the second race as well, and getting fastest lap in there. No, it's a really tough task to do, and he's the only person who's ever done it, and he's done it twice. And to get himself a good start for this weekend, he's gone ahead and put himself on pole position for this Grand Prix. A 28.352 is the time that Bottas Gang has put himself on there, and Beaker DQing may actually make it that bit easier for Bottas Gang to achieve it for the third time ever.
That would be incredible, wouldn't it? I mean, 3 perfect weekends. It would be in about a year, wouldn't it? In a year's span.
Yeah. It's
which
crazy.
Is just, it's insane.
I mean, he's done it across 2 seasons.
7.5 tenths as well.
Yeah, the guy is just insane. But the rundown at the end of qualifying is Bottas Gang on pole position, like you said, by 7.5 tenths. So, of course, he's getting the 4 points to kickstart his weekend. With Piloto in P2, Rex in P3, Falsetti P4, Marquez P5, Hayden getting himself up to P6 with Foxy P7, Ravenduck P8, Tiger Jr. P9, WG Players running us out for the top 10, with Tortor getting best of the rest. Then it goes Lamp, then Marken, then Burrito Bandito, then Maku, Beaker, and Matt. And the last 3 there, Maku, Beaker, and Matt, all DQ'd, meaning they extended their track limits a bit too far, got their lap times invalidated, and as a result, did not get their times on the board. Now, that's part 1 of 3 for this this F2 weekend. Obviously, you got the qualifying, you got the feature race, which we're about to go into now, which is a 25% long race, which I think on this circuit, I believe is 7 laps. I'll double check in a second when it comes up, but I believe it's 7 laps. And then we're going to move over to a sprint race, where it's a little bit less. I think we're going to be looking at 6 laps for that one, or 5 even. And again, 2 points for fastest lap is awarded, more than the 1 that you normally get in F1. So the drivers are all, except Rexa now, who's just left, on the grid, getting themselves ready to kickstart this Grand Prix. And Mr. Safso, I got to do it to you as per usual. I need your podium, please.
I think the top 2 are going to stay. I think, realistically, I think Bottas Gang is just going to run away with it. Unless Piloto can get up a very good first chicane. I think Piloto is going to do the same thing with second. And I think I was going to say Marquez, but I think Falsetti could nab a third.
See, I think you got your predictions wrong for the qualifying. You got them the wrong way around. You should have been predicting them for the race rather than for the qualifying, because I think it's going to be Bottas Gang P1, Piloto P2, Hayden P3. I think he's getting that podium again. This is something he has been doing, like I say, in the sprint races. The feature races is where he hasn't been able to get it together. But I'm a believer. I think he's been sweating this track this week. He's been super excited to race here, and yeah, I think he's back with a vengeance.
Well, we'll have to win. So he'd have to make it 3 places, which isn't impossible. But when you're that far up the grid, it is a little bit of a harder task to do. But as you say, if Hayden's been practicing the hell out of this track, looking forward to it, that's only going to help his chances, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Well, the front 3, actually. Who is that? It is Bottas Gang, Piloto, but then I think it's Marquez. Yeah, it is. Marquez has jumped a couple of cars, not a problem there. He's just keeping himself nice and tidy as we are coming up into the final corner, the Parabolica. There's so many areas on this circuit where overtaking is actually doable, but it's not always the smartest thing to do. Like, overtaking into the Parabolica is, yeah, very easy to do, but you don't want to do it, because if you do end up doing it, quite often you'll find yourself losing out again on the home straight. You need more than just ERS to protect you from the car who you've overtaken, because again, the toe is enormous on this circuit. DRS is enormous on this circuit. And in F2 cars, you don't have any ERS, at least not that you can deploy. Obviously, in F1, you do. So these guys don't have to necessarily worry about that, but that's even more important because it means then your exit has to be absolutely crucial. So, kickstarting is this Grand Prix. Bottas Gang is both of our P1s. I'm going to give you a last chance to change your prediction unless you want to keep it.
You know what, I'll change it. I'll put him back into P3.
Alright, there you go. Well, I think that was the right call, honestly.
Yeah.
Right then, just waiting now for the final driver to get in the box. I think we are now waiting for Rexon, I believe. I think he's causing this minor delay.
He's in his grid slot.
He is, but I think it's because he's loading back in.
And this will not be pleasing the other drivers.
No, I mean, the tyres right now will be dropping in temperature. This is where now we need to... Rexon needs to leave and rejoin, ideally. Because it is him, I believe, that is causing this issue. We should be getting underway as soon as we have that fixed. And he can't take control of his car immediately anyway. He has to wait for the lights to go out, and then after that he can then start to take control. Problem is, when he does take control of his car, it's going to be in the running in towards turn 1. Which is very well known for crash sitting, crash central, DNF central, spins, penalties, damage, everything you could ever need. Turn 1's got it.
Yeah, that first chicane, obviously, like you said before, in open lobbies, it's almost always a centre of absolute chaos and crashes and such as Rexon has left. Doesn't seem to be anything happening still.
Apparently, Rwagnation is also the problem as well.
Ah, okay. But also on those temperature drops, looks like Fox has gone down to 56 degrees on his right-hand side tyres. So this is... I don't know if he'll need a rehost or not because...
Oh, Rexon's in the minuses, according to minus 270.
Oh, wow. Oh, and migrating host.
And my game just crashed.
My game has crashed as well.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's splendid old news, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, you may have to bear with us whilst we get this set back up again one more time. Yeah, we'll get some music playing for you. We'll be literally 5 minutes. Apologies for the delay, ladies and gentlemen. We did, in fact, have a issue or two, obviously, with the host's network. When the host's network disconnected, it killed the game for almost everybody. So we are back again. Unfortunately, it does mean though that we are going to have to do the full qualifying. Well, I say the full qualifying. We are going to have to do the qualifying again, just purely because if we set a custom grid in the F2s, when it comes to the second race where the top 8 are normally flipped and reverse, they will just stay in their initial grid orders. So everyone is going to have to do their qualifying once more. Although I did just notice that Mr. Falsetti joined just a tiny bit too late, so he will not get the opportunity to do a qualifying lap. However, it does give the likes of Beaker, for example, a chance to actually qualify. So, Safso, we're going to pretend like the first one didn't happen. I'm going to ask you for 1, 2, 3.
Bottas Gang, Pika, Belotto.
Okay, okay. So I'm going to go with Bottas Gang. I'm going to go with Piloto and Beaker. So I know that you've gone slightly different in the other way, in the order. We've gone same drivers, slightly different order. But realistically, they are the three that look the best. I want to go back to Beaker real quick and just see how he performs here. He's looking okay. He doesn't look too fast, but sometimes slow and steady, he's actually quite fast. And P3 right now, below Tapaya P4. Rexon P2 though, he might be the spanner in the works.
Yep. If I remember quickly, he was P3 when we first did that qualifying session, so he actually might be the dark horse here. Maybe he's been really practicing the track. Piloto goes into P2 now, so it seems Rexon missed out a bit in Ascari. Yeah, I think Beaker's just going a bit more carefully to make sure he actually sets the lap this time.
Yeah, which is very important. But I mean, he only needs a really good exit through Parabolica, and he might be able to just quickly jump Rexon. But here we go then through the final corner. Bottas Gang is definitely ahead, that's for sure, and will secure himself pole position once more. I think it's actually faster than his previous lap time. So 128.235 is the best time so far in this race, and this qualifying. He has got himself on pole position and again secured himself the 4 points he needs to kickstart his weekend.
Yeah, smaller gap to second, but as I say, I think it was just over a tenth quicker. So he's still incredibly quick, even when he has to redo qualifying.
Well, it's not Bottas and Russell level close at all, but half a second, almost 6 tenths between the two. So Bottas Gang on pole, Piloto Paya P2, Rexon P3, Beaker P4 with Toto P5, Maku P6, Marquez P7, Foxy P8, Markin P9, Hayden a little bit lower down than he was in the first qualifying. He's P10. Tiger Jr. P11, Lamp P12, Matt P13, Burrito Bandito 14th, and Raven Duck, the only person to invalidate his lap time. It means he will start at the very back of the grid going into this feature race. Now, the weather did look a little bit grim there in that qualifying. It wasn't raining, but it didn't look exactly very good. So, are we going to see rain here? That looks like rain to me.
Yeah.
It's definitely raining, but the tyres in the pit lane are all soft. So we may be seeing dry, I'm going to put dry in quotation marks, dry conditions that require the dry compound, but the rain falling will make it not only very cold, but also very greasy. So turn 1, lap 1 is going to be a little bit interesting.
Yeah, and I actually noticed when we loaded into the, trying to load in the race the first time, those tyres in pit lane were actually wet tyres. So that might mean it was initially going to be a dry race first and then a wet race second. Maybe it'll be a wet race first and a dry race second.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they've definitely all got dry compound tyres on, that's for sure. I mean, I'm just going to bring that up on screen for you now. Every single person is on the medium. So yeah, the rain falling, whilst it is only very mild, will still make this track very slippery. And that is a very difficult thing for anybody to have to try and handle when it comes to Monza braking zones. Into they're all so really hot. Bottas guy? Is he just... I can't be bothered braking for turn 1. Just going to...
Maybe he's just having a bit of fun.
Oh, well, I mean, he's definitely... If this is his version of fun, then fair enough. Bottas Gang now going to retake Beaker. Just start working his way back to the front of the grid. However, is that Rexon? Yes, it is. Rexon is now the lead car for the formation lap. He will, of course, go back into... Oh, never mind.
Never mind.
Never mind. Oh,
Commentator's curse at its best.
Yeah. I'm not taking that one, though. That's on him. He literally said to me earlier, he goes, I'm turning traction control off for the F2 race. And I said, well, rest in peace, you. He goes, what do you mean? I said, the F2 cars in Gear 1, Gear 2, with traction control off is the hardest thing I've driven in a very long time. But yeah, anyway, he's all right. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It was just a rookie mistake made in formation lap. It means nothing. He can recover this without doubt.
Yeah. And getting very close to cars. You need to make sure not to disqualify anyone on this formation lap, or the tyres are going to be even colder than they already are.
Yeah, that would not be very nice. If you do get cold tyres, oh man, yeah, especially with the rain, oh, they're going to just plummet down in the temperatures. You can see the guys now fighting to get some sort of temperature in there. I'm on board with Rexon again. And I'm looking at his temperatures. They are 70s. Oh, Jesus, Wrexham, calm it down, mate. You don't need to go so all out for the warm-up of your tyres. Tiger Jr. has been disqualified from the formation lap. Will, of course, still get to race in it. Whoa, Bottas gang having a bit of a scary moment as well. All right. They are all back to the grid boxes. We are okay. I mean, they can't get damage on the formation lap, but they can get tyre wear. So Wrexham definitely will have had a couple of percentage taken out those tyres, but he should be okay.
Yeah, but again, the rain and cold conditions will not be helping them at all. And there's actually a big group at the back who's taking a very long time to get through Parabolica. So they are going to have dramatically warmer tyres than those who are already on the grid waiting. So that may impact how things go down into turn 1.
Well, I mean, I don't know how accurate the dashes are, but I've just seen Burrito Bandito's and his was in the minuses. In fact, most of the drivers are all showing in the minuses, minus 270s. So that is...
Oh, Piloto is the only one who isn't.
Yeah, watch him to just skyrocket up towards P1 then. They have reset themselves, so we are good to go. The lights are on then here in the F2 races at the Italy GP Monza. And there we are away. Great start there for Bottas gang. Piloto Pai had a bit of a back end loose, and same is going on to the back. That is in fact Burrito Bandito, who's had a bit of an off, and he's actually lost his left end plate. Maku's had a spin as well. He's gone off into wall, lost all of his front wing as we're coming towards turn 1. There's more carnage, more and more happening. Fox is, I think he's been caught up in an incident. Yes, he has. It looks like along with Wrexham. Yep, they're bringing themselves back onto the circuit once more. The yellow flag has now cleared away. There is still more crashes happening. Markin's had a bit of an off. He's gone off there with Matt as well, MXTT. There's carnage on that one.
Yeah, and Bika's already got a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help affairs with only an 8-lap race. Penalties obviously won't be anywhere near as likely. Although with the rain, maybe that'll help increase a bit. As, Foxy and Raymond Duck have... Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there, but they had a bit of a tangle, front wheel and back wheel into the barrier. Both got damage and probably both not scoring points today.
Yeah, Raven Duck is very, very injured, having to limp his way back, and he's really struggling with that back end as well. Tiger Jr. is sadly at the back too. Bottas gang is leading this Grand Prix by 1.5 seconds. You've got Bika there in P2. Like you say, though, with that penalty will cause issues for him later. But look at Hayden Gullis. He's really made up for some of those positions that he couldn't get earlier. And save for Forsetti, he was at the very back of the grid, and he's now up to P9. And I think Hayden might actually go for a move here on Toto, looking towards Parabolica. This is not the ideal place to do it. We talked about this earlier, and he's actually opted to not. He just wants to give Toto a bit of a scare, and I think that was definitely mission successful. Now, though, Toto really doesn't have that much of a toe to Marquez ahead, and this should now allow Hayden to start making some moves here on Toto. I promise you, DRS has not been enabled. It's not lap 3, it is only lap 2, and here comes Hayden into the braking zone for turn 1. He's just backed out a little bit there. Quite smart from him. Doesn't want to get tangled up. Oh, his back end stepped there, and he caught it nicely. He's done it again. The exit is not looking too good for him. We'll see if he can retaliate later.
Yeah, the exit out of that first chicane is already struggling for grip anyway in the wet, in the F2s, in the early gears. It must be absolutely horrible trying to keep the car under control. And I think he actually lost the rears a bit under braking as well, so that wouldn't have helped him at all. He seems to be very much taking a sort of knocking the psychological advantage, trying to really force Toto into a mistake at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good, it's called a mind punt from where I come from, and I think that's quite a good technique to use. It's just scaring your opponent into thinking you're going for a lunge. Oh, wet tires on Raven Duck.
Oh,
that's got to be a mistake, surely. This is definitely not wet weather tires at all.
No.
He's about to find that out the even harder way than he found out on the first lap. However, we'll worry about that later. The rain is starting to pick up just a tight bit more. You can start to see, if you look on the cars, there are spots of rain that are sitting there, but it is definitely not in a position where we need to be looking to the wet compound tyres at all. Bika is staying out. Yep, everyone looks to be doing the same thing. No one's opted to come in just yet, and I think this is the right decision. We are now on lap 3, so the telemetry will start to fix itself as the drivers come across the line. We're just waiting for Tiger Jr. to cross the line himself, and then that will be him done dusted. Because I don't know if that was a mistake or if he just willingly let Piloto through, but it looked very much like he just moved aside, let Piloto run through, and that is now Piloto up to P2.
Yeah, I think that looked a bit more of a sort of not wanting to lose time by fine, because obviously with that, he's now got 6 seconds of penalty, so he's got another penalty since lap 1. He really needs to pull out as much of a gap to Marquez as he possibly can. And if he finds Piloto, I think he knows he's just going to lose so much time by doing that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the right decision. He's not really fighting him. And they can kind of work together. Not necessarily to take Bottas' car, because this guy's untouchable. He's at 4-second lead already. We are only just partway through lap 3. So, yeah. Bit of a one-man show from his perspective. The race win is definitely his. The rest of it is just down to who can get the podium. Now, Beaker, I believe he has a 6-second, actually. So he's going to lose a lot of places. Hayden, as long as he keeps himself clean and consistent, which he has proven time and time again he can do, he might be in with a shot here, gaining a fair few more places.
Yeah, maybe he might not even want to gain too many places, because, of course, with the flipped grids, it would put him near the front for the sprint race. And if he's already better in the sprint race already, he might want to strengthen that with a good sign position and try and get that win, because a win in the sprint race might be more valuable than a 4th or 5th in the feature race.
Yeah, I mean, the points in the sprint races are obviously more reduced than they are in the feature race. But yeah, like you say, if you get a 4th or a 5th in the feature race, then you're going to get about the same points. As Marquez has made a bit of a mistake there. This is allowing Toto now to get alongside of him. He's going to have the inside through the Curva Grande. And yeah, Marquez does not put up any fight. But Hayden now will smell blood. He knows that Marquez is mentally a little bit injured now as a result of that little spin. Once you've had those... No, please don't send it, Marquez. He had a look down the inside. That was a scare. And even Hayden kind of got caught out there. He almost runs into the back of him. And that now has cost Hayden a little bit of time. We have lost another driver. That is Marken, who's had a hell of a spin. I think that's also Ravenduck in the same position. Yes, it is. I don't think Marken and Ravenduck spins and DNF for Marken are linked. I do think that was just Ravenduck made a mistake on his own, and Marken made a mistake on his own.
That is what it looks like, isn't it? And also, I was on board with Hayden going such a came where he went off. It looks like he just wasn't able to get the car slowed down at all. The brakes just really are not liking these greasy conditions. And even there at Ascara, he only just reached the apex. So, yeah, the brakes are a big worry at the moment.
Yeah, they really, really are. Now, there's quite a scrap actually happening right down at the back of the grid. Lamp has actually got himself a huge 10-second penalty. That was for cutting the corners in towards turn 1-2. And he is, unfortunately, out of the running for any points now, effectively. And speaking of, we've just lost Burrito Bandito as well. He also chose to go on the wet compound tyres, and that didn't work out for him at all. I mean, fair play to Ravenduck. He's not yet DNF'd as a result of the wet tyres, but he is still going. Marquez and Toto, they've just swapped places. Marquez has managed to get ahead of Toto. Toto's looking a little bit uncomfortable there. This is allowing Hayden Gullis to close in.
He's already teetering on that second margin, but of course Toto will have the slipstream from Marquez, so that will eke that gap out to Hayden just a little bit more. But if these two can fight for just this next chicane, if they fight hard in the coming bits, Hayden can get well within a second. He's already within a second. Marquez gets a penalty, and he has a mistake out the chicane.
Yeah, this is great news for Hayden now, so he should be able to jump Marquez as long as he doesn't get a penalty of his own as well. These two scrapping, going side by side through Lesmo 1, coming up towards Lesmo 2. They're going to continue this scrap as well. Will only benefit Hayden, and he can see it now. Look at this. The double toe, the DRS as well. This is going to be 3 wide if we come towards a Ascari like this. Marquez is very tucked in on the inside. There's definitely a gap there, but he has no toe now. Hayden he's just feathered off the throttle. He's backed out because he does not want to get into an unnecessary collision, especially if these two are going to continue scrapping in the way that they are. This should then allow him to retaliate again, but this time on the home straight.
And his straight line speed looked very interesting towards the end of that. He just dipped off. I mean, I know he lost the toe pretty much, but I think he's running high wings. I think he saw this race was wet and has put on higher downforce because his straight line speed doesn't seem to be great.
Look, he also lifted. That did make a massive difference. He lifted quite early on because he saw that, yes, I could go down the inside of both of them. Yes, it would look fantastic. But it wouldn't benefit me, but this might. This is a hell of a run. Again, he's backed out. He just needs a little bit of bravery. Even if he just goes in the inside, makes it awkward for them mentally, and then just gets, backs out a little bit and see what we got there. Again, exit is looking pretty good for him here. Could potentially get Tortor, especially with the fact that Marquez has that penalty. This is effectively looking at P4 no matter what, as long as he keeps himself clean from this moment forward. Is he going to look for that move in towards turn 4-5 chicane? He's definitely got a tight line. If he does go for it, he's committing. This is all about the brakes, and Toto gives him sufficient space. There's a little bit of a nudge between the two of them, but no damage, no real disasters, but a bit of time lost for Hayden.
Yeah, I think I think lifting out towards turn 1 was definitely the better decision, not to risk anything, but he's so close as he very nearly loses it. Out of List Mode 1, the conditions, they actually seem to be getting a tiny bit worse. The rain doesn't seem to be coming down a lot more, but there do seem to be a few more drops on the camera when you're on board.
Yeah.
So it could be that it's just getting a little bit slippier, and Beaker's now extended his penalty to 8 seconds.
Yep, which Marquez is kind of almost there on. If Beaker does get one more penalty, then suddenly Hayden's looking at a podium. As long as he can pass Toto, which is exactly what he's doing right now. This is the run around the outside of Parabolica. He's not going to get benefit here, though, because the DRS will be available to Tortor, but it's also available to Hayden. He just doesn't have the tone. That's the problem. He has to get the smoothest exit out of here. Whereas Tortor here, he's looking pretty good. Gap is actually a little bit further than he necessarily wants coming into this. Hayden not using DRS. Oh, he doesn't have it.
No, he was just over a second behind at the detection point, because that's in the breaking point of Parabolica's Tortor.
Oh, they're keeping it tight together. Hayden, I think... Oh no, it looks like Tortor's got a better exit, but tell you something, that was a very tense moment there. Tortor also looked like he was kind of panicking coming into the corner. He didn't really want to be in a dive bomb sort of situation. He did kind of end up being one of those, but no penalties, no damage. Good fighting between the two of them. I think it's all fair. That ends well. And Hayden might get this back later.
I think he just has to be patient, hasn't he? Just wait for one of these two to make a little slip in the rain. Although, having said that, he's got very limited time remaining. So if he's going to make a move, it needs to be soon.
He also has to be careful because Marquez is almost at that 2-second window between him and Hayden. So if Hayden's going to go for it, I mean, Tortor's looking pretty good. He's quids in. He's going to get P4 as long as he can continue as he is. But he also has to maintain 0 penalties. And he's had a fair few scares. Not really incidents. He's had a fair few scares, but that was clean through a scarra there. Not a single issue to report. Maybe turn 1 looks to be his only kryptonite. Bottas gang looked for a second there like he was going to lose the fastest lap because Foxy set that time up, and Beaker's actually snatched it now. So we are now on the final lap. Bottas gang, in order for him to achieve the perfect weekend for the 3rd time ever, he's going to need to do so much more on this lap than he did previously. And now Hayden, with a huge toe on Tortor, he does back out. That is, again, maybe a bit too... what's the word? I want to say relaxed, not quite relaxed.
Cautious?
Conservative, I think, is probably the word I'm looking for. Yeah, cautious, yeah. But yeah, this is looking pretty good for Hayden and Tortor. More Tortor right now, and Hayden's got to come and respond here.
Marquez has got another penalty. I think he got another penalty at the first chicane. He's just got another one now.
Yeah.
So he's not liking tramming limits. So really, this is now just a fight for 4th as Beaker and Piloto have really pulled away. And it seems the rain has stopped. So maybe Hayden can be a bit more brave into a sky if he has a decent exit.
Oh. And Fox has just set the new fastest lap then. So it comes down to how quick has Bottas gang been on this lap. Now, the problem we've got for Hayden is his gap is close to Tortor, but he doesn't quite have any DRS or anything to work with on the exit of Ascari. He has to have the quickest run through here, which he does, but it's just not enough. Tortor is pulling away. He's actually closing in on Marquez as well, and Bottas gang does get the fastest lap and the race win, but can Beaker snatch that away from him? No, he cannot. It looks like neither can Piloto. Marquez, I don't think he... I mean, he's a 1.5 seconds up, so he might be able to snatch away the fastest lap, but I'm not overly convinced. I mean, that won't help him as he falls down. Tortor does finish P4, Hayden P5, Marquez P6. Rexon and Foxy, they were the ones who improved lap times earlier. Foxy might be in with a chance here of taking away Bottas gang's fastest lap.
Let's pull up the lap data. He is 1.3 seconds up. So that's certainly going to help his cause, but... as Ravendux had a very big crash ahead of him. Nearly went airborne going into the barrier.
Well, Rexon hit the wall as well intentionally. That was to signify the end of his race, but Foxy may actually be able to take away that title of the perfect weekend from Bottas Gang if this lap is fast enough. Here he comes then to the line. It is! He's done it! He's taken away Bottas Gang's third perfect weekend. I mean, fair play to him. Bottas Gang gave it everything, and he almost had it. But Foxy has stopped it. He's put an end to the dream of the hat trick, which is a shame, because I would love to have seen it, but at the same time, no. I'm kind of glad that it lasts a little bit longer, because somebody's got to stop Bottas Gang. Somebody has to get themselves on that Hall of Fame for the perfect weekend.
It's just getting ridiculous now, isn't it? We're finding our Lewis Hamilton of the F2s.
Yeah, we really are. Can anybody stop him? But Bottas Gang has got the win here today, so 25 points in the feature race locked in. Piloto P2, Beaker P3, Toto P4, and Hayden P5. Marquez P6, Rexon P7, and Foxy rounds out the top 8, alongside also getting the fastest lap 2 points. The top 8, remember, will get flipped and reversed as we go into the sprint race, so Foxy will start the next race on pole position, immediately followed by Rexon. Then P9 is Forseti, and Matt getting the final point, with Lamp getting the best of the rest, and then your DNFs are Ravenduck, Tiger Jr., Markin, Burrito, Bandito, G-Force, Maku is the remaining driver to DNF. Now, let's just quick look at the weekend. 29 points for Bottas Gang. We knew that already because of his 4 points from qualifying. The only other little change there is Foxy, who has got the additional 2 points. He's currently tied up there with Rexon. So if he gets a really good ending to this sprint race, which remember the top prize, if you like, for points in the sprint race is 15 points. So he may be able to jump up quite a fair few places should he lock in that P1. Somebody else who's looking to return and retaliate is Hayden. He had a good first race. Wasn't quite as good as he necessarily would have wanted it to be. However, given the conditions, given the run, you got to give a really good shout out to both him and Tortor for the amount of battles that they had, but also for keeping it as clean as they did. And now, with a full dry circuit, they can go a little bit harder than they did last time.
Yeah. Again, I think it was the right thing for Hayden to keep it nice and clean. It was a testament to if you keep it clean, you get good racing. And others should follow suit to not just go for every opportunity, wait for it, and then if it doesn't come, then bad luck, wait for the next one. But as you say, with it being a bit warmer now, the tyre should be easier to warm, and I believe everyone, or at least most people, will be on soft, so they'll have a bit more grip as well. Ooh. And Hayden's in a very good position to at least get a podium, if not maybe even a win.
Well, it'll be also aided by the fact that Foxy is on the medium compound tyre. Now, the drivers don't get to choose their tyre compounds coming into this race. It is purely down to the game, and it decides it for them. So Foxy and Ravenduck have been kind of given the poo end of the stick, if you like. They're both on the mediums. Everyone else is on softs. And on a track like this, you need as much grip as you possibly can for the exit speeds. And you also want to make sure that you can carry as much momentum through Ascari as you possibly can. And Parabolica, for that matter. Because they are the areas you're gonna lose a lot of time if you get even slightly wrong.
Yeah, Parabolica obviously being one of the more important exits, isn't it? Because that's the longest straight on the circuit. It's where we've seen most of the overtaking that feature race on that main straight. So if you can really just bolt it out of there, you've at least got a decent chance, even if you haven't got the likes of Slipstream and DRS.
Go on then, let's hear it. What's your podium today?
I'm going to go Hayden P1. I think he can genuinely pull that. I'm going to say Bottas Gang's been looking ridiculously quick, so I'm going to say him P2 and Beaker P3.
Right. I'm very aware of my commentator's curse, okay? I'm very aware that I seem to have an inept ability for ending people's careers before they even get started. So, I'm actually going to withhold my podium prediction purely because I really do not want to be the person who curses them into oblivion. All I'm saying is mine is pretty similar to yours. I'm just hoping that it actually happens.
Okay. So you're gonna let me be the commentator cursor today?
Yes, it's all on you.
Ah, lovely.
I mean, I did it earlier to Rexon on his formation lap, and look what happened.
Yeah, and you haven't said anything. Look, he's won the formation now.
Yeah, I mean, he nailed that. I don't think that's really a title you want to be bragging about, though, is it?
No, definitely not. His tyres will be the coldest of all. Which is not exactly what you want on the front row.
Imagine if there was like a mini game in F1 where you get an extra 2 points if you won the formation lap. Imagine the carnage you'd have.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be chaos.
That would be absolutely mental.
Oh, imagine that in places like Monaco where it's really tight and just everyone squeezing and just everyone would get disqualified from formation lap.
Well, that's the thing. You'd take that strategy of not going for it, and you could absolutely potentially get it. But here we are then. And it's go time here in the F2s for the final time. Foxy gets a pretty clean start with Rex in there chasing him down. I'm seeing Toto down stuck in the inside. Matt's looking for the outside. He's been blocked off there by, I believe that was Bottas Gang. Bottas Gang's up to P7. And Matt is having a little bit of an issue. He's gone into the back of Hayden, I think, who's gone into the back of someone else. Look at that front wing. I think his left end plate is broken off. Penalties have started to come in there. Time penalty for Pelota Pie. Yes, Hayden does in fact have wing damage on the left hand side, and end plate is missing, and we have a Matt that is currently stationary coming out of turn 2, and he's retired from the race.
Bottas Gang with a big lunge at the second chicane. Yeah, that's a crying shame for Hayden, isn't it? He was bumped from behind, couldn't do anything about it, couldn't slow himself down enough, and I doubt even a podium will be possible now, unless some absolutely incredible scenes happen, but I don't see anything that incredible happening. Meanwhile, Bottas Gang already up to P4. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah, he's not human, is he? And look at Rexon here. He's not willing to back out of this going in towards Ascari. They are going to go side by side. Rexon will just get himself fully ahead. Beautiful move there from Rexon, but he's left himself a little bit exposed here because Foxy will have the tow. There's also a fair bit of a scrap going on behind as well. This is Marquez holding on for P3. Bottas Gang looking for that P4. Hayden kind of just hanging in there on that 1 second margin. However, no DRS available until lap 3 of these 5-lap races. Bottas Gang is going to get right down the inside. Beautiful exit from him. Puts him up to P3. Foxy not able to retaliate to Rexon, who sets the fastest lap of the race, 33.5.
And here comes Pelota down the inside of Hayden. I imagine there's probably going to be a surefire move. He's going to brake later, down the inside. And Lamp has hit Hayden from the back. Hayden is really not having a fun time with people behind him, is he?
No, he's really getting abused today. Luckily, the rear end of these cars are like titanium. They do not get broken in F1 game. I mean, that's not the case in real life, of course, but in F1 game, Chuck Norris couldn't even break one of these, despite how much he might try. But yeah, Hayden is definitely getting the abuse today. Pika is now on the back of him. We've got a blue flag, but that is from our spectator perspective. It's not actually a thing. Who is that who's span? Is that Lamp? There was an issue. It's caused the yellow flag.
It might have been McCoo.
Oh, Markin had a fair bit of a back end kick out there. He's really struggling with this car. He's not got any wing damage. It's just purely down to his driving style on this track. And Pelota is closing down on Marquez.
And Bika got very close to Hayden, but of course because he was so close, he lost about a bit of time in the exit, so I think he's probably going to wait for Parabolica either to dive down the inside or try and swoop around with a good exit. And he should be passed pretty quickly.
He should indeed. Okay, whoa, again, Hayden having a bit of an issue coming through the final corner, and this has now allowed Beaker to get really close to the back of Hayden. We are now officially on lap 3. DRS has now finally been enabled, but they don't have it available to them on the home straight, and this is why Beaker's only using the toe to get himself through, and he has done exactly that. Into turn 1, he gets that move locked in. He's now up to P6.
And I believe Pelota got past Marquez. I'm not sure if he passed earlier and I didn't see. But Pelota does have a penalty. So if Marquez can just stay right up, snuck to him, maybe use his GRS to climb him up, maybe he could even have a shot at podium because those top 3 are looking pretty close at the moment.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, Bottas Gang is... Wait. Bottas Gang got past Foxy, but I didn't see where.
I believe it was out of Parabolic. I think it was before where the DRS would have been on the main straight.
Fossetti has retired. That is in Lesmo 2. And actually, look at Bottas guy going for a move around the outside now into Ascari. Rex is going to stick it through the inside. Oh, there was very nearly contact between the two, but Bottas gang with his 6th sense really saw that one coming in, and it does indeed get himself out of harm's way. Pelotapaya looking for Foxy here. There's a fair bit of scrapping going on today then. Markin looking for Lamp. You've got Toto looking for Maku. You've got Beaker looking for Marquez. And you've also got Peloto going around the outside of Foxy, but that didn't quite work out. There's a bit of contact between them, and now he's got a better exit, but he hasn't got the toe necessarily he needed initially. He's now going to have to fully rely on the DRS. There he comes.
And Bottas gang has now got past Rexon. Peloto going down the inside of Foxy. Looks like it should be a move done and dusted. Yeah, Foxy doesn't fight back though. He might try and get the better exit. Oh, it's a very good exit, but... And actually, no, he will have the toe, so maybe he can have a look in the second chicane.
Oh, he's going for
along.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, Peloto giving him
Or is he going to back out at the last moment, or is he going to get... He's going for it.
Too deep. Oh, no, he's caught it. Oh, he's lost a lot of momentum through there, though. Pelotapaya now has a chance to come right back at him in towards Lesmo 1, but he decides against it. I think that's probably the smarter move, but that has... I mean, the penalty itself is going to stop Peloto from getting P3 as it stands, but he's also going to lose more than that because Marquez is hot on his heels, and so is Beaker.
Beaker more so, so he's actually gone past Marquez. So here we go, coming down to Ascari. Peloto pulls to the outside, Foxy on the inside. Beaker's he going to try and follow his teammate through? A little bit of contact, no damage, very, very thankfully for Beaker.
Well, I mean,
incredibly lucky, and Peloto's had a poor exit. Oh, no!
Oh, double contact. That was Foxy getting a slap on the backside there by Peloto, and then Marquez collected him as well. I think he avoided wing damage somehow. I'm not sure how that happened. Oh, no, Foxy, you don't go down the inside in Parabolica. That is just not the ideal line. And that is what happens if you do. Hayden Gullis, though, suddenly, even with his initial lap wing damage, he's actually in a position where he might be able to still score some quite big points. Closing in on Marquez. He's only got 3/10 gap between the two of them. He doesn't have DRS or follow home straight. He will have it, though, later on. That was an awkward land there for Marquez to take through that corner. And Foxy has recovered to an extent. He's back there in P6, but 8/10 gap to Hayden.
And Monsieur Bottas gang actually has a penalty, so I wonder if Rexon will be ruining that penalty, because if he hadn't had it, he'd actually be in range to get this win in the sprint race, although, having said that, Bottas gang is just extended over 2 seconds, so maybe not.
Well, Beaker actually needs to improve by literally... No, he's in it now, so he's actually within Rexon's gap to take P2. This is big.
Yeah, but of course, Beaker needs to make sure he doesn't get a penalty of his own. Because, of course, if he gets a penalty, then that kind of ruins that work. Yep, Hayden going down the outside of Marquez. Yeah, it's a very simple move, but with his damage, it could make Ascari very interesting. He's taking a very tight line on the entry. Rexon gets another penalty. That'll make Beaker's life a lot easier. Marquez hasn't got a great exit. Hayden could get P4 here.
Yeah, well, it's looking pretty good for him. In fact, he's got it. There's no way now that he can close that gap back in again. So Hayden locks in a P4. Bottas gang will cross the line and take the race win here. Again in the sprint race, Rexon crosses P2, but Beaker will snatch that from him and go up to P2. Hayden Gullis will cross the line and go P4. Foxy P5, Marquez P6, Maku P7, and Toto getting the final point scoring position.
Phew.
I mean, what a recovery drive from Hayden. He got spanked twice, massively spanked twice. Had huge, wing damage on the before he'd even got through turn 1, and to still recover and not give in and bring himself back to a P4. That's big. That's good. That's very well done to him.
That's a stunning drive, and it just shows that if he's able to build up the pace, he could really be a pain in the posterior for Beaker and Bottas gang in future races.
I'm curious as to what... Oh, there we go. And it crosses the line, I think.
Yeah, I think he's trying to do donuts at the end.
Didn't quite work very well. But that is the end of the feature race here. Sorry, the sprint race here in the F2s. And the end of the F2s overall. We will be moving shortly into the F1 races. We'll be getting underway as quick as can be. We are about 10 minutes away from that start. And we'll get the hype video running for you as quick as can be. The rundown here is as follows. we'll go straight to the weekend results because, of course, Bottas Gang has locked himself in with 44 points victory for the whole weekend. He didn't get the perfect weekend this time, but I mean, look at him. Qualifying on pole position. Race win in round 1. Race win in round 2. Yes, he didn't get any of the fastest laps, but still, he was only 4 points away again from maxing out the maximum points you could get. So still huge well done to Bottas Gang. Very impressive stuff to say the least. Beaker game P2 with Piloto there in P3, tied with Hayden, I must say. Rex in there P5, Toto P6, Marquez tied with Foxy for P7, Fossetti tied for 9th. Matt gets the only other person to score a point, gets the best of the rest, with then Ravenduck, Tiger Jr., Lamp, Marken, and Burrito Bandita the remainder of the weekend. Right, guys, do not go anywhere. We'll be getting underway with the F1 race very shortly, along with the hype video to kick us off for this Grand Prix. See you in a second.